Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
I feel like I need to make a disclaimer on this. I'm only talking about Rum and Bones version 1. I know there's a second version that's out now. I don't have it. I haven't played it. So I'm commenting just on what comes in this core box. Rum and Bones is a pirate game, and for many this will be the pirate game. It's these two ships that go side by side, and you're jumping on the ships and battling. If you think about some of these battles that you've seen in Pirates of the Caribbean. Everybody's going to have these henchmen that, kind of beat up, and they're just regenerating everywhere. You're going to have these warriors, these great heroes on your team that have these awesome powers that you'll be utilizing and spending coins in order to play with those and to get them out there attacking and doing very strong things. Now, I must start out with saying that I didn't really enjoy this game very much. I didn't have that much fun. Let me talk about why. Number one, there's a lot of downtime in this game. So what happens is player 1 will take his entire turn, and then player 2 will take his entire turn. And there's a lot of time that goes into that. So you just kind of sit around fiddling your thumbs. When somebody attacks you, you may have a tied card, that can combat it, but you only have one. There's multiple attacks going on. So really, you're just sitting around getting the stuffing beat out of you. If that sounds fun to you, then this is the game for you. Otherwise, I don't know if that's fun, and it just really has a lot of downtime in it while the other person is doing what he's doing. He's looking at all his powers, he's thinking about what he wants to do, he's strategizing, and then boom, you're just sitting there. So that is a definite con of this game. Number 2 is that there's a little bit to digest. While the rules are simple, the rule book isn't very clear into what you want to do. It's not very clear on some of the stuff, like firing the gun at the back is just for sea creatures. It can be a little bit confusing. I didn't like the organization of the rule book, which just makes it a learning curve to get there. Once you're playing, the actual game is very easy. You just got to kind of manage all the powers of the heroes that you have. Number 3, is it fun? Not really. Due to the downtime of the game, the analysis paralysis is just really, really brought it down on my level. Also, you're just rolling dice a lot. So, you're rolling these dice and seeing if you get how many 3s and how many 4s. And the game really is just dice rolling. All the chrome on top of it, everything else included, you're really just rolling dice over and over and over again. And I like that sometimes, but the story wasn't strong enough in this one to keep me from seeing the dice. So I saw me just rolling dice a lot versus like, oh, I'm going up and I'm hiding behind this and I'm shooting a zombie or I'm shooting somebody down or I'm doing some kind of stealth. With this one, it was just like, we're just, 2 rocks bashing against each other. And that wasn't fun to me. Now listen, they tried really hard in the rulebook and the artwork and everywhere to put a story in this. But at the end of the day, it's just a skirmish game. And you're just kind of beating up on each other, hoping to fulfill these objectives. And all the objectives, as far as I can tell from the rulebook, I didn't go into FAQ and look. I do that on purpose so I can review just what comes in the box. Is there a difference between the different objectives? The gun shoots the Kraken and stuff, but I didn't know anything about the other ones, and like the sails and the steering wheel. What's the point of those, and what do you get from that? You flip it over and it tells you, but you constantly got to flip it over, and that's not intuitive, really. Once you know it, but the first couple of times through, you just kind of like, just kind of feeling your way through. The henchmen all feel the same. They come in different molds. Thank you. That's definitely a pro that they come in different molds. But I wish they did something different or some kind of differentiation, because now we just dump a bunch of these on the board and they're constantly getting killed in the smithereens. So the good about the game is the way it looks. The game looks fantastic. Of course, it's Cool Mini or Not. The miniatures are wonderful. And while I like Zombicide and I like some of these things that Cool Mini or Not has put out, this one to me was one that was kind of like half-baked and didn't feel like it was fully ready to be released. I know the second edition fixes a lot of things, but I kind of want to center here just what I'm getting in this core box. For me, it didn't work that great. I am going to try the upgrade. I'm going to try the second edition rules with it, but I wanted to tell you what you're getting in the first edition box only, and what you're getting is not a very good game. Definitely skip this one. If there's an upgrade kit, if you want the extra factions for the second edition, that's a different story. I'm not talking about that. But if you're thinking about buying the first edition, I would probably tell you to skip it. Now, if you like chucking a lot of dice, and that's really you, and you think the awesome theme of battling on these ships is for you, you could totally get into this. And I could see a lot of people liking this. It was just a little too simplistic for me. I didn't really care for it too much. They had this coin system where you're spending coins to do these awesome actions, but it's so difficult to get coins. You get one around that it just didn't feel like it built upon itself. And I never wanted to save up for those ultra ones because I needed to do those smaller ones constantly just to kind of stay in the game. For me, it's going to be a definite purge. It's not something that I'm going to want to keep. I've kickstarted this. That's how long I've had it. And because of some of the bad things that were said about it, it didn't really pull me in when I read the rule book. I kind of held off on it. And that meant my expectations were very low, which usually helps a game out. In this case, I was just bored. I didn't have a good time. So I can't, in good faith, recommend it to you. So this is going to be a purge. And I would probably tell you to try it before you buy it, unless you love chucking dice. Here's Rum and Bones. This is going to be the first edition. There's nothing on here that signifies first edition, but this is the first edition of the game. Big, cool, or mini or not box. So very beautiful artwork on the front, and it's a very thick little box that you get inside. When you open it up, you're going to see a bunch of minis. Now, normally they're going to come in these cardboard, so you have these cardboard containers that will come in it. I don't have mine in it, but they do say Rum and Bones and have the insignia and logo on there. So you're going to get these two right here, which are going to be your captains, if you will, or heroes, they call them in this game. And I'll go through and show you every miniature. You're going to get a ton of miniatures. Of course, it's cool minis or not. These are going to be your deck hands and kind of infantry level people. You're going to see here, you're going to get some of these cards. You're going to have the Sea Dragon, and each of the characters will have all their powers listed here and things that they'll have. I'll show you how all this works. The Kraken that will come out. And just a beautiful artwork. Very easy. These are actually fairly good. They're not hard cardboard. They do have the faction on the back, so you can easily tell what faction they're, because when you get to the expansions, there's a lot that can be added to this game. You're also going to have the faction deck for each card, which will be 30 cards, 10 commons, and 20 unique to each faction. These are a little thin. They're okay. They look pretty cool. I don't really care for the artwork in this game. I did like the cover of it, and it's okay, but it's that kind of that faded pencil. But it gets a cut across. Now, some of these, I really didn't know what they do. I had to kind of like look through the book quite a few times. You have some icons on them that you'll be utilizing for the Kraken. Not terrible, but I would probably sleeve these if you're going to play this a lot. There's going to be quite a bit of cardboard in this game for the game planks and some of these objective tiles that you have. Very nice cardboard, very thick. I love the artwork on the Kraken here. This is quite a big piece. Information on the back, but look at that. Whew, very neat. You're going to get a number of regular six-sided dice. These are rounded off black. You're used to this. The core box is going to have two factions, and these are going to be the deployments. You're going to get 3 each in each faction. Very good sized cardboard here with the factions easily recognizable. As with most mini games, you're going to have these that the miniatures will sit right into your heroes and stuff, so you can have these that delineate what color you are. These are plastic and fairly nice. You're going to get any number of these tokens. These will be coins you'll use. These will signify when you're killed in battle and come back to life. Wound tokens and little tokens that will signify when you have bad things like becoming blind and having negatives added to you. These will signify these. These are really good cardboard, very thick. There are some upgrades you can get for the money, which I'll show you at a later time. You will get these 2 long boards that make up a ship. You'll see that each one has a bunch of squares where you'll place stuff in. You'll receive 1 for each faction. The ships look similar and different at the same time, but it's the same amount of squares you're going to get on both of these. Now, when you play the game, they will be lined up side by side as if you're boarding each other. The first thing we're going to look at is these miniatures. We're going to look at the heroes, and I'll kind of show you each one and kind of how they look and the details that are on these. These are some of the most fantastic pirate kind of Pirates of the Caribbean-esque miniatures that you will see. You can definitely see the details on this guy. And you're going to get 10 of these heroes in the core game, 5 for each faction. And they each have a different role in the game, and they each will have 3 unique powers. You can definitely see what's going on here. Very cool miniatures. I mean, cool mini or not does not let us down one bit. And here's a female character, quite busty, but some clothes on. I know it will bother some people. You can see the detail right there. I will say most of these heroes are going to skew towards the men. I don't know how many pirates are historically accurate it would be. This guy I like with the 2 swords coming out. Now the colors do not delineate what faction they are. You're going to put these on the bottom to show that. Here's one of the captains. He looks cool with that wind coming through, and you can see his hair going. And his swords in the back. So that's why you'll use these bottoms on these. These come off fairly easily and pop right on. So I believe the colors are gonna show what their role is in the game rather than what faction they are. So you want to use the bottom to show what faction they are. This is the guy that's drunk all the time. Amazing beard here. I really like this. It's probably my favorite miniature in the game. I have played this guy quite a bit. He's pretty scary. I was pointing out there. This gigantic sword coming. You can see the detail on this. His back is very smooth, done on purpose. But you can see the torso is just completely missing. You can see his spine back there. And then you're going to have this giant meathead here. You can see he is ready for battle. This is an attack guy. He can soak up a lot of damage, double swords. And look at that riveting right there. Just fantastic. So what you're going to have here is one faction. This is going to be all of the henchmen for this faction. So everything across the top, there's only 3 different molds. So I'm just going to show you each mold, but know that there's 8 of each of these in the box. So this is the henchman. It's going to be one of the weakest ones of the bunch. Now these 3 molds that you're going to see, they're all equal. There's no difference between them, at least not in this core box. Perhaps later on. They do come in unique colors, so this will be your color, if you will, and the same thing will be going across the heroes at the bottom, because you can mix and match those up as the game progresses and you add expansions to it. Now these are not nearly as nice. I mean, they're super nice. There's a lot of them, but they're not as detailed as maybe the heroes or as unique, because there's going to be 8 of these on the board, but they're meant to be that. This is your minions. These are your guys that are kind of running around. So that's for the faction. And here are the henchmen for the other faction. This is going to be 2 sets of the 8. I'll show you where the 3rd set is. Once again, I'm just going to show you one of each because they're going to be 8 just like it. Now these will match the purple heroes with the bases that you saw earlier. And this one is just fantastic, skeleton-esque guy. And this guy is reaching up. So these remind me of Davy Jones's guys. Look, there's a skull back there. You notice he doesn't have a head. It's sitting right there. So there's a couple of these. The sword goes up. It bends on purpose. That's not a warping. Extremely nice. So what you're going to get here is the other purple henchman. I'll show you this one really quickly. And you're going to see the other set. And there's going to be 8 of these. This kind of goes with the undead theme. The skeleton theme with the other ones. Great detail. Maybe not to snuff with the heroes, but they still look fantastic. Now these are going to be the Bonsons. They're a little bit higher up than the henchmen. You're going to get 6 of these. This will be the purple faction. And you're going to notice these by the circular base as opposed to a square base for the henchmen. And you can see just the detail there. You can see right in that. He's got the squiggly Davy Jones type beard. Very, very cool. I mean, if you wanted to paint these up, it would look fantastic. Although the colors of those really pop off the table and tell you what faction they are. So if you're going to color them, you want to keep the same color scheme if possible. And this guy's just a big old fatty here with the chain coming down. You can just see even the definition, even how fat he's supposed to be. And he has the big hammerlock coming up. So fantastic miniatures. The components are really, really good in this. The card quality may not be what I'm looking for, but the miniatures are fantastic, which I expect from Cool Mini or not. I like the boards quite a bit, and I like everything we get in this game. The dice are generic, but they don't need to be anything else for this game. Here's a rule book for Rum and Bones. You're going to get very colorful, and it gives you a little bit of story when it starts up, which is kind of nice. You're going to get an entire components list, which I love in games, and shows you how everything is and how many you should have everything. A little quick overview and a setup, which you need to go through this setup step by step. It's pretty important, which will cover 3 pages. Now, it feels like a lot more once you kind of get going. There's giant pictures that take up over half a page here. This takes up quite a bit of verbiage, so it's not as tough as it seems. And they do a pretty good job of explaining kind of like how you use this card. And this is the reference, and these are all the things that go along with it. You got your tie cards that will come up and your game board. Now, I usually like this kind of stuff explained at the back of the book, but I guess I can flip ahead if I want. It shows you how objectives work and the measuring the range and the combat, all before it shows you how to play, and you have some modifiers. Now, this is really, really important right here. This is with the condition effects. A lot of the cards are going to tell you that you go blind, stun, slow, silence, or bleed, but it's nowhere printed by here. There's no player aids that I could find, at least not in my copy, so I refer back to this quite a bit. Then we'll jump into the game. Like I said, I like this, all this stuff at the back. Show me how to play the game first, but it takes you through an order. The rulebook is shaky at times. I'm not really that happy with it. Like the deck gun, it took me a while to figure out that you only use that when you're fighting the monsters. That can be really tricky. And deploying. I mean, there's a lot going on here. Play area aids would have helped. Something printed on the boards. It gives you some rules for 3 to 6 players. I would never use these. This is a 2-player game. And then what's kind of cool with, I wish they would have spent more time on the rule book and teaching me the rules and being more clarifying, but it does a really good job of kind of building a universe here. You're going to get stories on everybody and who they are and what their background is, which is kind of neat, and how they came to be. And then you have a little bit of an aftermath, a little bit of a story, more story here, which is really what they're going for, which is really weird considering this is such a beer and pretzels game to me. There's a summary on the back, which is nice. I wish there was a player aid for the players. It does tell you everything, and you'll be using this quite a bit when you play. So this is kind of the setup's going to be. These are the 2 boards side by side. They'll be connected by these gangplanks. So when you're playing, it's like 2 pirate ships are boarding each other, and there will be fighting that's going on. I'm going to squeeze this down and narrow it down and make it into just 1 board, because I think it'll be easier to show you how to play. But just keep in mind that the board will be side by side. So where you see these planks, there'll be another ship attached. But I don't think that I don't think that's necessary to learn the game. I think you need a more micro focus on this board and what you're doing, because the other board is the exact same. So when you set up your ship, it's going to look like this. You're going to have 4 henchmen on these 3 spots. You're going to have 3 deployments. You're going to have the gangplanks going on to the other ship. That's how your turn is going to start. In addition, you will start out with 5 people. You will have a gunner, a captain, a brute, a swashbuckler, and a quartermaster. And as you get more and more stuff and expansions for the game, you can switch these out. You will have enough to get 5 heroes in the game. So the first thing you'll do in a round is you will add 1 coin to each of these characters. So you will put a coin on each of them, and these will all be laid out on your board. So each round, each of your characters are going to get 1 coin, even if they're not on the board. Then what you will do, if there are any monsters out, you will fire the deck gun as long as it hasn't been blown up by your opponent. And what you'll do for this is you'll take 4 dice, and you'll roll those 4 dice, and for every 4 plus, you will do a damage to the sea monster, or the Kraken, or whatever is out on the board. So that will be the second step that you do. So the third thing you'll do in a turn is you will deploy. You'll be able to put out 2 henchmen on each of your deployment places. And then you will place 2 of your circular guys, your Bonsons, and you can place them on any of the deployment side, either 2 on 1 or 1 on each, which I'll illustrate in this point. The fourth thing you do is you activate your crew. Now, if there was anybody adjacent, you would attack. So you always attack before you move. And the henchmen, or the Bonsons, if they're there, will attack anybody who's adjacent. So I'm going to illustrate it as if there is a henchman there. So you will roll a die for each deckhand. In this case, there's 4, and they will hit on a 4. In this case, I rolled 2 hits, which is enough to kill this guy, and he would go overboard and off the board. If there had been 3 people there with this roll, I would have killed 2 of them, thrown them overboard, and 1 would continue to be on the space. If there had been only 2 people here, and let's say 2 people here, or let's say there's 3 people there, I would only roll 2 dice if that had been it. In this case, 2 hits would kill 2 of these guys, leaving 1. I could never kill that other guy with just 1 roll. Now, Bonsons work the same exact way, except for they hit on a roll of 3, so a little bit more power. The next thing I would do is I would move all my henchmen and Bonsons 1 space, so they can move, say, up here. I would move these guys up, these guys up, these guys up. These guys couldn't move because of that guy being there, and I would just move everyone up. If this guy wasn't there, then those initial guys would have moved up like these guys did. The next thing I can do is I can deploy my heroes. So I can pick 3 of my heroes and put them out on the board in a deployment space. Now I can choose any of my 3 that are on my team that I so choose, and they would come out and be ready for activation. Then I would activate each of my heroes in the decision of whatever I want to do, and they would have 3 actions they can do. One of the actions they can do is move 2 spaces. Now keep in mind they can take as many of these actions as they have. So if they have 3 actions, they can do 3 movements, 3 attacks, whatever they want to do. Let me show you an example of an attack. So here you have a heavy lead shot. If Blackout Bart was there, my drunken friend, I could pay 0 coins and do an attack. It does take an action. Then I would roll 3 dice, hit on 3, and I could do up to a range of 2. If I wanted to add a bullseye, I would have to pay 2 coins Heroes may be targeted first in priority order. Rolls a 5 or 6, deal 1 damage. Heroes damage, suffer blind. Or I can do a Grease Lightning Barrage, cost me 4 coins. Heroes may be targeted first. Hits may be assigned to any zones, any regions. 6 dice, hit on 3, and up to a 3 range. So if I chose to do one of these, whether I had to pay the cost or not, it would cost me 1 action to do so, keeping in mind his health is 8. You can also do a rigging where you could go onto the other ship without going through these planks, kind of like you're just swinging across there, but you do run into a chance of going overboard. What you will be doing mostly with the heroes is moving and fighting and attacking and using those powers that you have. That's what you're going to be doing majority of the time. After that, you roll to see if you unleash the Kraken. And the way you do that is these cards will play. They'll have these icons, these Kraken icons at the bottom of them. So what you'll do is, let's say I had these two that I've already played down in front of me. I would roll 2 dice, in that case 9. It's larger than 2, so it's 3 or higher, so nothing would happen. If I had rolled a 1 or a 2, then the Kraken would come out, and we would utilize him. And then we would pump this giant Kraken down, and bad stuff would happen. And the Kraken and the Sea Dragon both have their own cards, depending on what happens. I'm not going to go that far in detail, but just know that they exist. After that, you draw up to a hand of 3, and then the next person goes. So once again, everybody gets a coin. Every hero gets a coin that they can utilize on their turn. You'll fire the deck at the monsters. Then you will activate your crew. They will attack and then move in that order. They can only attack adjacent to them, orthogonally. Then you will deploy heroes. If you don't have 3 out, you can go up to 3. Then you will activate each one up to 3 actions. And then you will roll to unleash the Kraken. And then you draw up to 3. So you kind of get this rhythm and movement of this movement and attacking and kind of what you're doing in the game. The game is a lot of skirmish kind of battling and combat. Who should buy this game? It's going to be very narrow, guys. 1, people who like the theme. If you really, really dislike the idea of these 2 ships being there and the pirates fighting it out, this is for you. This is going to do that. This is going to accomplish that. And as far as I know, it's the only one that's kind of like this arcade style that does this. Second is anybody who really likes chucking dice, and you love dice, and you like the randomness of the dice, and you like doing that kind of thing, and that kind of combat system. This is going to be you mixed with the theme. There's a lot of games that do chucking dice, but this puts that pirate theme into it. You really do feel like you're in a Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and people are moving around, and I think they lend that with the characters that they're utilizing. But outside of that core group, I'm going to tell you to try this one before you buy it. It's not something I would just jump on the deep into. Once again, not commenting on the second edition, just this first edition core box. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you liked it, please like it and hit that little subscribe button. That really helps out the channel. Lets us know that you're getting the videos that you want. If you agreed or disagree with what I said, feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I promise that I will comment back. Thanks for watching, and everybody else, keep playing games.